Carrie Geren Scoggins Political Newsletter, Bible Prophecy Times Edition Update. Federal laws were passed to protect the disabled, mentally or physically disabled, from humiliation, mockery, harassment, or having their disability used to make their name a slur, and to protect the disabled from being stigmatized with the disability, to stop their reputation for being ruined throughout the community. The Americans with Disabilities Act was passed, giving them protected class status, stopping this kind of abuse. Bullying legislation is also being passed in some states to end this type of harassment. There are disclosure laws in the Americans with Disabilities Act that make it illegal for anyone, state employee, private business, or otherwise, to disclose personal information about a disabled person. It's illegal to disclose a disability of any form, physical or mental, whether it be symptoms, a diagnosis, or medications they may have possibly been given. The Americans with Disabilities Act, when violated, is a third-degree felony count. It is also a felony in the Americans with Disabilities Act disclosure clause for anyone to disclose personal information about a disabled person, again, whether it be a diagnosis, symptoms, or medications they may have been prescribed. It is also a felony hate crime. Harassing, mocking, or illegally disclosing information about a disabled person, whether it be a mental disability or a physical disability, is a hate crime. As the disabled are a protected class status under hate crimes legislation, giving them protected class status protection, along with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Since violating the civil rights of the disabled is a felony, it means if they file suit against a business or a state office for discrimination, they will win in the court system. They have protected class status and need to be recognized as such. Law enforcement, government agencies, private businesses cannot discriminate against the disabled in any form. They cannot break disclosure laws, and if they do so, or their employees do so without reprimand, civil rights lawsuits will ensue. Punitive damages will be given to the victims. In some cases where symptoms develop from an individual being victimized, it also violates victims' rights legislation and disclosure laws therein. In our own personal case, false accusations of such were spread against our family and myself. These lies were felony counts, used to discredit us, the victims, for court. Those that are familiar with the court system do understand the attack on rape victims by the attorney defending the accused. The rape victim is subject to false accusations of mental illnesses and false accusations of false memory disorder. It is illegal to accuse the victim of said symptoms or diagnosis. Discrediting the victim for court, victims' rights legislation. Spreading these kinds of my personal story of having been victimized, and then to have informants and law enforcement turn to discredit me, the victim, spreading false accusations of mental illnesses and symptoms that I do not have, nor have I ever been diagnosed with, including lies of false memory disorder. I fully understand the need for victims' rights legislation, and I had a hand in on writing this legislation, hoping that others will not be victimized in this specific way. There are other types of victimization of those that suffer from disabilities. The Americans with Disabilities Act, hate crimes legislation, and victims' rights legislation are laws put into place to protect the victims from having their civil rights violated. This has been another edition of Carrie Geren Scoggins Political Newsletter Bible Prophecy Times Edition Update. Look for more information, Carrie Geren Scoggins Political Newsletter and Carrie Geren Scoggins Political Newsletter Bible Prophecy Times Edition, Facebook pages and bloggers.